Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray on ESPN 790 AM. Brought to you proudly by Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Barton Power Sports, Sportsman's Warehouse, and Best Care Home Services.
All right, welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray, and this will go down in the books on this July the 15th as one of the most unusual shows because of technical difficulties, not necessarily on our end, but trying to hook up with folks out of town. Now, we've been, this show, and it's almost 16 years, we've talked to people in Europe, England, Canada, Mexico, all over the place, but never had trouble getting into Orlando. But, we did it. And so we appreciate Ron Wong is probably down there on the floor. But I wish we could have had a podcast of this morning, because it would have been really great to see Stuart and I trying to do our jobs, and then of course the Stuart. Now you've been doing this. Was that exciting?
Yeah, I would certainly say so, and I did record some of the stuff that was going on. Not everything, unfortunately. There was a certain comment made about
yes, there was. We won't
school.
even go. We know that John Gordon and Ron Wong have different opinion on certain schools. All right, you can get off the microphone now. You did your duty. Switch it back to.
I'm good. I'm good being with y'all, and it was certainly an experience I will remember for the rest of my life. I'll put it in my book for sure.
They put it in his book, and then and all I could see was Frank over there pounding on the table, laughing, and John laughing. But poor old Larry Ray was doing my best to keep Outdoors with Larry Ray on the. And this will be posted later this afternoon on lroutdoors.com. I'm not sure exactly what Stuart got, but he's got me worried now. So we'll have to check that out. But fun time.
Oh, it was, Larry. You did a great job.
Thank you for being supportive of me as you were both going hilarious on me over there as I was screaming. But, okay, now let's talk a little bit about what's going on Mount Moriah, because after the show I'm getting ready to head over there for a few minutes at Barton Power Sports in West Memphis, Jonesboro, Arkansas, Forest City, and now on Mount Moriah. The address is
5715 Mount Moriah.
5715 Mount Moriah. They opened at 8 this morning, but I had a chance to drop by and see Primary Tackle out in Bartlett and see their new place for David Best, and it's a wonderful facility. But I tell you what, I've driven by the Barton Power Sports 2 times. Neither one when they were open, but just the experience of looking at the front end, it looks nice. It's a labor of love.
Well, that's one way of putting it. It took us a while to get it open, but we're excited about it. To borrow we like the way we look. On the inside, and it's got a good feel about it, and we've had nothing but positive comments from the people that have come in and visited us, and compared to some of the other experiences that people get in the power sport industry around the Memphis area. They like what we got going on over there. So.
And so tell them a little bit about the size of the building and what's.
Our showroom's a little over 11,000 square feet.
That's the showroom.
That's just the showroom.
There's nothing out front. You got to go inside.
Just a showroom. It's all inside. It's all air conditioned. All air conditioned, and we've got lots of product. Got lots of display area on that. We've got
Polaris,
the newest Polaris accessories on display, where you can see it's a little bit easier to touch and feel it than look in the pictures on the internet. So you can actually look and see what's the size of the sound bar that goes on there, and the radio package that goes on there, and lights. We got all kinds of lights on things, and lots of Rangers and Razors that we've accessorized already, so they're sitting on the floor fully accessorized, where you can get an idea of looking at it. If you want to see what the various doors that are available for the product, we've got a display that all the doors are sitting on the display, and they're on their hinges, and you can say, well, this one looks this way or this one looks that way, and the same thing with windshields and I tell people when they buy a Ranger and they say, well, I'm not going to get a top and a windshield or anything like that, and I just smile and I say, that's fine, and you'll be here to see me the first cold, wet morning that you're out.
That's right, yeah.
And they come back in, they said, you were right.
John is shaking his head over there.
So, they all understand. But it's a good feel. We've got the service area is up and running.
Full service?
Yep.
Yeah,
okay. Service is up and running, and I have in the parts department what I believe is the most knowledgeable parts person, not only in Memphis but in the entire Mid-South area.
And that is?
David Gould, and he was at our Jonesboro store and relocated briefly with his wife up to Northwest Arkansas. And when I opened Memphis, I called him up and I said, you need to come back here.
Yeah.
And made a convincing story for him. So
David is back.
David's here working for me, and the folks that have come in already and know he knows his stuff.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
And so a good team. I got Nick Mitchell that was over at our West Memphis store working on off-road and also on motorcycles, and he's back there in the back.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be bringing on another.
Do you have Indian motorcycles there?
We have Indian motorcycles.
There you go,
and we have the Polaris slingshot.
You do have a slingshot there.
Right, we have slingshot. So
okay.
And we're just by next week we'll be going to Las Vegas for the new product show. Mm-hmm. And so we'll see what all the new stuff that they got coming out.
Okay.
On both on-road and off-road.
So in August, when you come back in August, we'll know all that new stuff. Then.
That's right. And we'll be at the
Mid-South Mid-South Hunting and Fishing Extravaganza.
We'll be there. We might actually have some of the new product there. It's always a challenge because it's about 2 weeks after the introduction to get the new stuff in, but we'll do our best. We'll have our usual very large display. Yeah,
August 11th through 13th.
Yeah, we're usually, fact is, we always have been the largest ATV and side-by-side
at the show
presentation at the show. So we'll probably have 20-plus units sitting out there.
So you've got you a good spot now.
Yeah, we're good. Okay. We're in good shape.
We're in good shape. And of course, Kubota Tractors, all you folks. And this, to me, is the time, and John wrote a great story in the Mid-South Hunting and Fishing News magazine that came out for July, and about getting prepared. And then we'll probably have something from John in August. We're going to keep utilizing John's talents, not only as what he does for Avery, but what he does for the Mid-South Hunting and Fishing News. And John, I know that August is coming fast approaching. We'll start getting into squirrel season before long. We'll get into dove seasons. And Avery is always kicking up. I don't know if the new catalog has come out. Will there be a catalog?
Yeah, we've got one out right now. I need to bring you a copy.
You need to get me a copy of the catalog because another place sent me one in somewhere around Stuttgart. I can't remember, but I always like to look at yours because yours has so much about the decoys and the accessories to get ready. You don't just go buy a new ATV the day before the season opens. Some people might.
We've had a couple that do it, but
Same way with a shotgun or any of your archery equipment that will be coming up. And so the Superstore is when you just go down Sam Cooper, get off at Tillman, and go west on Broad,
right,
across a couple of railroad tracks, and turn onto Cumberland Avenue and look for all the pickup trucks. Now that's the way I identify. It's easy to get to. Everybody says, "Well, man, Mount Moriah is really easy now because it's not very far from this radio station on Mount Moriah. After you get to the fork in the road at Halley Stadium, you just keep going straight on Mount Moriah, and it's down on your right after you pass some other places, pretty close to Crystal. And one of my favorite places is the Dairy Queen, or whatever that place is down
Dixie
there.
Queen.
The Dixie Queen, so I know that. But the only marker I can tell to Cumberland Avenue is the railroad tracks.
Well, and the Wiseacre Brewery is right there.
It's right there, yeah. I don't look for that, but I know it's there. Okay. But you guys are coming out with some stuff?
Sure. I tell you something.
At the SHOT Show, you came out with some new stuff.
We did. Something we're really excited about on the Avery side of things. is we have a new line of clothing and
Yes.
accessories called Heritage.
Yes.
And it's a real throwback to times
Throwback.
of the past, where the waxed cotton and that type of styling and the real old school look of the past. So it's something we're real excited about. And we've got gun cases, bags, and everything that's all in
the
line.
Heritage.
Correct.
Which is, I like that name.
Yeah, and we'll have all that at the superstore when we're still waiting on some more of it to come in, but we'll have all that available along with everything else we've got there. But it's pretty exciting. I'm an old school guy myself.
Oh, you're a young school guy. Come on now.
Well, I'm a guy, like you said. I really love the writings of Nash and Gene Hill and some of the older writers and the guys that really talked about the way things were. The simpler times of waterfowling and
pretty complicated times now. I know we know the dates and things, but the equipment is so fast changing. Just like as Frank was saying, you can look at that first one I bought. It was a Polaris many years ago from another dealer. I didn't know Frank then, but you're talking about changes. And you look at the clothing and the change in clothing. Now, just because it's called Heritage doesn't mean, and it's a throwback, it's still going to be that new protection that keeps you more warm than what I can remember on my first duck hunt. I went with John Kreiner on my first duck hunt when I came here, my friend John Kreiner, and he tells me they are jumping carp are in Horseshoe. I read that in the West Memphis Evening Times. But, some of the clothes that we got, but it's just amazing that you can wear less and feel warmer.
Well, that's very true, and especially on the banded side of things. I mean, you've got our banded waders.
I got them, buddy, and they are wonderful.
That is such an advancement. I mean, it's really hard to fathom going back to the old canvas and rubber waders of the past that were just they were a frigid nightmare, is what they were.
Yeah.
So on the banded side, we've still got a lot of the high tech stuff there. We use a lot of our innovation. But the Heritage is it's still fleece line stuff, very warm, very very versatile.
Yeah.
But it just has that look from the past, and something that we really at Avery and Bandit really try to hold on to is the heritage and the history of waterfowling.
And there's also the other side now. We're hot, but there are now clothing now that has come out that just blows my mind. Of course, I help my wife in the garden every once in a while, and I wear some shirts that I can't feel like I got on. And now there's sun protection things coming out and things along that line to keep you cool. Early wood duck season, early season, the teal season, anything like that.
Right.
Yeah, there's not. I guarantee it's not going to be 35 degrees. More than likely.
That's not in doves as well. You got to take that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so
they could go to your place and get some clothing,
sure, whatever they need.
Yeah. Well, it's this day and time, we've got so much going on, and because I know next week, like I said, we got the Forest Wood Cup. It's going to be in the same weekend as the Mid-South Hunting and Fishing Extravaganza, and you folks really need to go to MemphisHuntShows.com, MemphisHuntShow.com, or LROutdoors.com. They've got some new things going on for this year's hunt show. We're hoping this all works out. Over $250,000 of prizes going to be given away. Music concerts, including Darryl Worley on Saturday night. The one and only Darryl Worley from Savannah, Tennessee. So I'm excited about this year's Mid-South Hunting and Fishing Extravaganza, not only because it's going to be indoors and air conditioned, but Frank's going to have some wonderful displays, and also going to have those seminars. I'm trying to talk to people to get new seminars. We're going to be on the stage this year. No more stuck in that little room back there where no one sees us or anything along that line. We're going to be on the stage in the D-wing, pretty close to the trout pond, which is a real gathering point for things along that line. But I am interested in talking about the Bob White quail. I am really interested from your guys' perspective as we go into mid-July here. What is your outlook? Now, I know you both are duck hunters. I know that, and goose hunters. What is your your gut feeling as we talk waterfowl in July in the Mid-South? Frank, give me your 2 cents worth, as I say in the Mid-South Hunting and Fishing News.
Well, I haven't seen we're just about ready to get that that first migration
yes, we
type
are.
report, and
yeah.
I haven't. And
it hasn't come out yet.
But my gut feeling with the weather patterns that we've experienced already this year up north, that we will have a season similar to last year.
So it depends where you are.
Would be what I think. And when I say we, I'm talking about those of us in the Mississippi Flyway.
Yeah.
The Pacific Flyway should be better than the previous year because of their weather pattern has changed. They've had a completely different weather pattern, much more moisture in that area.
Yeah.
But ours should be good, and I'm getting excited. My regular hunting partners have.
Yes, I know your regular hunting partners.
We've already been getting our plans together about what we're going to do a little bit different. And
that's the fun part, is getting the thing ready. People don't realize how much work.
Well, I tell you, I got a drone earlier in the year, and I flew over.
I was wondering how that drone was working.
Flew the drone over our regular hunting spots.
Yeah.
And we. I would encourage anybody that's got a regular spot that they duck hunt in, if you got an opportunity of looking at it from the air, from a drone perspective, which you can put that thing up, within shotgunning distance and all that, do that. You will see things about your blind and your pit that you had not seen before, and it will change what you do this year, I promise you.
What do you think about that?
I agree 100%. I've seen a lot of different video footage of decoy spreads and blinds now from that vantage point of a duck or a goose, and it is amazing that, like I said, with this technology, it allows you to see what they see, and Frank is exactly right. You'll change what you're doing because they're seeing you. You're wondering why do those birds flare right there? Well, now you know they saw this corner of the blind you thought was brushed up great, but from above they can see right into it.
One of the things that we noticed right off is we use a lot of willows in the past to brush up, which is natural cover for us and everything, and we brush up real heavy. Well, come middle of January or so, those willows that we have cut that were fine have turned a very bright brown or almost reddish color and do not blend in with anything else that was out there.
So you're saying you have to change in the middle of the season?
We're gonna do
or
something.
Look at something that'll stay.
We're gonna darken them up. We're gonna do something because we always had this experience of birds flaring off of us late in the season that we attributed to. They've just been there. They've always been, well, maybe that's part of it, but what we saw from the drone videos was, the blind that we were in that we're specifically talking about looked completely different than what we thought it looked
really?
like. Yeah.
So you got that knowledge, and I'm assuming to have drones are amazing. They're everywhere right now, but they can be utilized so well. And I know from your perspective as a goose hunter, the technology has changed in that too. And you not only look for the duck part of it, but from the goose standpoint.
Yeah, that's correct. A friend of mine who's another outdoor writer, Mike Shea, up in New York State, does a lot for Field and Stream. He did a video for them with a drone. Based on something I do a lot, which was a snow goose hunt.
Yes.
And they were hunting out of ground blinds, and the thing that you really noticed immediately was the fact that if those geese are approaching your spread and you and the doors are open on those blinds, they can see them immediately. They're black spots in the field, and and people closing and stuff. They see all of that. So it's like I said, what you thought before. Well, they're just snow geese, or they're just hard to decoy. They probably saw you moving around. So what I've done a lot with if I'm guiding my clients or whatever, I'll tell them, guys, can you keep the doors closed? Because they're going to see it. They'll see it, and they'll see that motion, and they'll see that deal, and it's going to spook them. So that's something I learned from that.
So if you have claustrophobia, you just forget it.
Well, I wouldn't say that, Larry, but it's but it's just something we never thought about before.
Yeah, it's something.
They
well,
see
how
that
could
black
you?
Interior,
how
the
could you
blind,
do
we
that?
didn't know, right?
Yeah, how could you know that unless you had some kind of you can take pictures and all these different kind of things, but. I know that we're all optimistic, and we've heard this before. It's the same way. I hate to hear about the quail, and that's one thing that has always bothered me. But I understand from Frank's perspective, as a man of the land, that there are farmers have practices, and are you gonna give that up to create places for the birds to have the habitat, and that's.
But there's been some changes over the last 10, 15 years with various farm programs where there's farmers are getting incentivized to do things to manage land differently, manage for conservation and manage for habitat. Just a real simple thing that's easy to do is. You've got field ditches in this flat delta ground that we got. We got these field ditches that we need to. You have to maintain them for drainage, but you could let habitat grow up on one side of the ditch, and you can still maintain it from the other side of the ditch.
So there are things that you can do if you're up to it, and I know that we now have pen raised quail and things along these lines, and. I don't think
that helps, but I mean that's just
but I don't think
the mortality rate for those is about 99%.
Well, I don't think we don't have as many places to go to shoot birds like that like we used to. It seemed like we had them all over the place 20 years ago. Places where you can go shoot quail, and we had these venues that you can do that. And I've been in those facilities. There's some still out, and I'm not saying anything.
You saw those spring up when the commodity prices went in the tubes back in the early 80s which followed when commodity prices were at record highs, and that's when all this land got cleared up around here.
It did.
You saw all kinds of people clearing land, and everybody did. You had to. I mean, it was the economics just begged you to do that kind of stuff. So but that things change, and we have good conservation programs that benefit folks that want to change their practices. And while quail is bad, it's better now than it was 5 years ago, in my opinion.
Well, it couldn't get any worse. So
it was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was bad. John Gordon, thank you for being with me, buddy. Thank you. And
you're very welcome, Larry.
Great the Superstore will be open today down on Cumberland Avenue
at 9 a.m. this morning.
9 a.m. this morning. And then, of course, drop by and see the new Barton Power Sports over on Mount Moriah. Opens today at 8 to 5, if I'm not mistaken.
8 to 5 on Saturdays.
And just check it out. You might want to buy one of those new ATVs or maybe a slingshot or whatever it might be. And don't wait till August to get your ATV fixed. If you've got some, I'm sure that the good folks over there at Barton Power Sports. Thank you, Stuart Little. I knew I was going to say that. It's been kind of a day like that. Stuart Saddles, thank you for doing that. What a day it's been. This is Larry Ray. Remind you about next week's show, All Fishing, the FLW tour preview with some of the greatest names in bass fishing on next week's show. And I'll remind you once more, it doesn't cost an extra cent to be a good sport. And God bless the USA.
You can find out all about it on Outdoors with Larry.